Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what would people take more seriously if it had a different name? Radiation burns, not sunburns. Star damage. I know it's obvious that the sun is hot, but if you really stop and think about it, it's fucking insane. Like, compare how much heat you feel radiating off of a campfire. It's pretty intense, but if you back up like 3 feet it fades away. This fucking sun is millions of miles away and can still burn your skin. It's bananas. Edit: beneath this comment is 100 replies from people who are smart enough to know the real science behind the sun's heat but not smart enough to see that 99 other people already made that comment. I crave star damage. In the wise words of Bill Wirtz, the sun is a deadly laser. Not anymore, there's a blanket tilde. Fanny packs. It could have been like utility pouch or hell, even shitkeeper would be better than fanny pack. Edit: holy hell y'all, I think I'm actually gonna rock one. I read a lot of your guys' responses and here's some solid names. Nutruck, Chaos Pouch, A Koala, the Hoe to Go, and my personal favorite, the Douchebag. I'm contemplating getting one and sewing it's a douchebag onto it. Thanks y'all. We call them bum bags in the UK. But that's also because fanny has a very different meaning here. Vagina, valuable carrier, cooter, container, wizard sleeves, special pocket. Walkie-talkies. Speechy reachies. Ambly ramblies. Rooty tooty aim and shooty. Diglovagy. Sounds not too bad, but should be called skinned alive. Diglovagy is what I do after a sledding trip. And decoartig. And debutig. And dehatag. Then I climb up on couch and drink cocoa. One of my friends recently got degloved. He lost all the skin on his arm, all the way up to his shoulder. You didn't have to type this. You didn't have to put this image in my head. Waterboarding sounds like a fun activity for a day at the lake with family. Ah yes, drowning torture. Apparently you never had a fun day on the lake with my brothers. I'm gonna go waterboarding in Guantanamo Bay. It sounds great if you don't know what either of those is. Broom rape, the crop failure that plant genus causes and how dangerous it is because of it, is highly overshadowed by that ridiculous name. Edit: I've never seen a single episode of 13 Reasons Why and all the mentions of the show are both confusing and terrifying. Broom rape sounds fucking painful though. I'm assuming it isn't with the fun end. Don't forget rapeseed, Akakala. Saskatchewan, the land of rape and honey. Corporate welfare, not bailouts. Fun fact: the government has made money on the bailout of the banks in 08. Lost 11.2 billion on the Graham bailout. Well, the Graham bailout was blatant corruption. What's worse, the feds got all up in Ford's business, saying hey, you need to take this money too. Only, after that we own your soul. Ford said GFY and survived, only they don't get much credit for being a fucking boss during a catastrophic time. Bailouts seem to be a universally bipartisan disliked thing, yet both parties do them. Pretty annoying. Disliked by voters on both sides, loved by politicians on both sides. Cornhole. I have a hard time getting people to play. Call it a beanbag toss or bago. It sounds a lot less dirty. Looked up nicknames on Wikipedia. Got beanbag toss, dummy boards, doghouse, dart hole, sacks, beans. Beanbag, some help more than others. DuckDuckGo. I think I would use it more if it had a less ridiculous name. Same with GoDaddy. When that first came out I thought it was a porn site. Edit: this whole time I thought that DuckDuckGo was also a domain host. Still though, GoDaddy is terrible. It's not like their commercials did a lot to dispel that notion. Marijuana strains, especially concerning medicine. People would take a name like Coxapram much more seriously than OG Unicorn Blood Kush. Edit: for those asking, sorry but not a real strain, thought it would be a good name for a strand while watching Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. 100% this. As a prescribed medicinal user myself, it's weird that my medicine is called Super Lemon Haze. Are you telling me that Alaskan Thunderfuck wouldn't have been a better name than aspirin? Wouldn't you rather go take some green crack than Valium? Doesn't Granddaddy Perp sound more medicinal than warfarin? If you ask me, Big Pharma needs to catch up to the weed industry. Due to Poe's law I feel obligated to mention that this comment was sarcastic. Aspirin 5000 wouldn't have made nearly as good of a drag name. Borderline personality disorder sounds so mild. It isn't. Edit, thanks for the gold, kind stranger. And, a different kind of thanks to all the replies describing BPD as terrifying, which isn't a fun way to think of oneself. Edit 2, I wasn't trying to say that terrifying isn't accurate. It absolutely is. It just isn't fun to think about the fact that I'm terrifying. Like you're right on the verge of having a personality. Sounds like you're on the verge of having a disorder. Like oh it's kind of a disorder but it's borderline. Instead it's like I'm on the verge of actually making friends but can't form meaningful connections unless I'm on meds. Depression. The name currently conflates an emotion and a completely separate mental illness. That's why when discussing it I say clinical depression. Clinical depression versus situational depression. You have no idea how tired I get of explaining this to people who say that depression is just a state of mind that you overcome by pushing through. Edit, first ever Reddit gold for soapboxing about mental illness LMAO. Thank you kind stranger. Also gonna take this opportunity to link you guys this short description of the various types of depression. And people who use OCD to say that they love to be clean / organized. I can't stand it. If they truly ever experienced obsessive-compulsive disorder, they would know it's not something to laugh about. OCD often comes with anxiety and depression and it often relates to obsessive disturbing thoughts, not always a cleanliness obsession. Yep. I spent hours trying to decontaminate my body from invisible insects the other day. But please tell me again how you can't have your books out of alphabetical order, Karen. MSG should be called savory salt. You could call it organic seaweed extract and it'd fly off the shelves at Whole Foods. I work at a Japanese restaurant, and for the minds of the patrons we chose not to use any MSG. When people ask about it and I tell them all it is a seaweed extractive, though unused in our kitchens, some people are really shocked. They've been fear-mongered away from it without actually knowing where it comes from. Taserface. Ha 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 ha. What made you look in the mirror and decide that Taserface was a cool name? Edit, thank you kind stranger for the silver. My first award. It's metaphorical. Have you seen the theory that Taserface is actually a character from Thor 2 who was pushed into one of the prison cell walls, like Loki was in, and burning his face? Didn't some journalist go around asking people about the Affordable Care Act and Obamacare and got different responses from people like they were two different things? Journalist, so what do you think of the ACA? Person 1, oh it's great, I'm all for it. Journalist, and Obamacare. Person 1, fuck it to hell. It was the Jimmy Kimmel crew, not a journalist, but you're pretty much right otherwise. Interviews start at 0 hours 50. Here's a relevant article that also includes the video. Edit, here's an even better article that supports Kimmel's bit. Additionally, polls have verified this is real, not just cherry-picked for a skit. If you ask people the local name for the ACA program, Apple Health in WA, Kayect in Kentucky, etc., they are more likely to find it favorable compared to Obamacare. Dental plaque. Your lemurs are good with leaving that shit on and in between your teeth for hours, days, and weeks on end. Guess what? That stuff is bacteria that ate your food, and possibly teeth, and grew into a community of their own poop, dead and live bacteria, and leftover food. It's like wiping your ass after a good dump, but you're okay with leaving that shit clinging to your anus. Gross. So, I call it dental poo. That way my patients are more apartment to brush and floss it off. TL, doctor, you eat little pieces of shit s for breakfast. Edit, you're making me proud. BRB. I gotta go brush my teeth. I'm not kidding. Fucking same. Your teeth look okay in general but make sure to get all of that dental poo off before you come to see me again. Gerrymandering. If we called it what it is, state corruption. Or whistleblowing, if you call it like anti-corruption or something. It's absolutely tragic to me that Snowden ruined his life trying to bring awareness to the people, only for most of America not to give a shit and for the government to double down on what he called them out for. The Patriot Act. I know. When I first heard the name it sounded like it was something great, then you read what it does and damn. Exactly why they named it that way. ADHD, people treat it like it's just about not paying attention and being hyper. It can be crippling. I really want it to be called something like attention regulation disorder. Attention deficit is wildly inaccurate. The name also makes it incredibly difficult to explain hyperfocus to people. You just did X activity for 6 hours straight, how do you have ADHD? Well, that activity was my entire world for those 6 hours. I didn't hear or see or feel anything outside of that for those 6 hours, nothing else existed to me. When I finally came out of the fugue state, I realized I was incredibly hungry, thirsty, physically uncomfortable, and I would piss myself if I didn't get to the toilet in the next 17 seconds, which is why I had to change my pants. Super fun when you have ad without the hyperactive part, which gets adults annoyed. So if they don't get annoyed because you're not jumping around all the time, you apparently don't need medicine to sit the F* where you belong and shut up because you're already doing that, so problem solved. AD is no longer an official DSM diagnosis. What you're describing is ADHD, inattentive type. You can have ADHD without the hyperactivity component. It's stupid and confusing. Source: I'm a med student going into psychiatry, also I have this diagnosis too lol. Yeah, the misinformation and low understanding for this condition is mind-boggling when you consider that it is one of the most researched mental conditions we know of. It's not that I'm not paying attention. It's that I literally can't pay attention to shit that is necessary to concentrate on to be a normal functioning person with today's societal norms. I swear the first time I took Adderall it was like having a curtain opened in front of me, being able to think like normal people. Same with Ritalin for me. I started taking it and went oh. So that's how everyone else manages to do everything.